The Principles of Economics by Carl Menger. Chapter 1. The General Theory of the Good. Section 5. The Causes of Progress in Human Welfare. The greatest improvement in the productive powers of labor, says Adam Smith, and the greater part of the skill, dexterity, and judgment with which it is anywhere directed or applied, seems to have been the effects of the division of labor, and it is the great multiplication of the productions of all different arts, in consequence of the division of labor, which occasions, in a well-governed society, that universal opulence which extends itself to the lowest ranks of the people. In such a manner Adam Smith has made the progressive division of labor the central factor in the economic progress of mankind, in harmony with the overwhelming importance he attributes to labor as an element in human society. I believe, however, that the distinguished author I have just quoted has cast light, in his chapter on the division of labor, on but a single cause of progress in human welfare, while other, no less efficient causes have escaped his attention. We may assume that the tasks in collecting economy of an Australian tribe are, for the most part, divided in the most efficient way among the various members of the tribe. Some are hunters, others are fishermen, and still others are occupied exclusively with collecting wild vegetable foods. Some of the women are wholly engaged in the preparation of food, and others in the fabrication of clothes. We may imagine the division of labor of the tribe to be carried still further, so that each distinct task comes to be performed by a particular specialized member of the tribe. Let us now ask whether a division of labor carried so far would have such an effect on the increase of the quantity of consumable goods available to the members of the tribe as that regarded by Adam Smith as being the consequence of the progressive division of labor. Evidently, as the result of such a change, this tribe, or any other people, will achieve either the same result from their labor with less effort, or, with the same effort, a greater result than before. It will thus improve its condition, in so far as this is all possible by means of a more appropriate and efficient allocation of occupational tasks. But this improvement is very different from that which we can observe in actual cases of economically progressive peoples. Let us compare this last case with another. Assume a people which extends its attention to goods of third, fourth, and higher orders, instead of confining its activity merely to the tasks of a primitive collecting economy, that is, to the acquisition of naturally available goods of lowest order, ordinarily goods of first and possibly second order. If such a people progressively directs goods of ever higher orders to the satisfaction of its needs, and especially if each step in this direction is accompanied by an appropriate division of labor, we shall doubtless observe that progress in welfare which Adam Smith was disposed to attribute exclusively to the latter factor. We shall see the hunter, who initially pursues game with a club, turning to hunting with bow and hunting net, to stock farming of the simplest kind, and in sequence to ever more intensive forms of stock farming. We shall see men, living initially on wild plants, turn into ever more intensive forms of agriculture. We shall see the rise of manufactures and their improvement by means of tools and machines, and in the closest connection with these developments we shall see the welfare of this people increase. The further mankind progresses in this direction, the more varied become the kinds of goods, the more varied consequently the occupations, and the more necessary and economic also the progressive division of labor. But it is evident that the increase in the consumption goods at human disposal is not the exclusive effect of the division of labor. Indeed, the division of labor cannot even be designated as the most important cause of the economic progress of mankind. Correctly, it should be regarded only as one factor among the great influences that lead mankind from barbarism and misery to civilization and wealth. The explanation of the effect of the increasing employment of goods of higher order upon the growing quantity of goods available for human consumption, goods of first order, is a matter of little difficulty. In its most primitive form, a collecting economy is confined to gathering those goods of lowest order that happen to be offered by nature. Since economizing individuals exert no influence on the production of these goods, their origin is independent of the wishes and needs of men, and hence, so far as they are concerned, accidental. But if men abandon this most primitive form of economy, investigate the ways in which things may be combined in a causal process for the production of consumption goods, take possession of things capable of being so combined, and treat them as goods of higher order, they will obtain consumption goods that are as truly the results of natural processes as the consumption goods of a primitive collecting economy. But the available quantities of these goods will no longer be independent of the wishes and needs of men. Instead, the quantities of consumption goods will be determined by a process that is the power of men and is regulated by human purposes within the limits set by natural laws. Consumption goods, which before were the product of an accidental concurrence of the circumstances of their origin, become products of human will, within the limits set by natural laws, as soon as men have recognized these circumstances and have achieved control of them. The quantities of consumption goods at human disposal are limited only by the extent of human knowledge of the causal connections between things, and by the extent of human control over these things. Increasing understanding of the causal connections between things and human welfare, and increasing control of the less proximate conditions responsible for human welfare, have led mankind, therefore, from a state of barbarism and the deepest misery to its present stage of civilization and well-being, and have changed vast regions inhabited by a few miserable, excessively poor men into densely populated civilized countries. Nothing is more certain than the degree of economic progress of mankind will still in future epochs be commensurate with the degree of progress of human knowledge.